Hey guys, it's Hannah, and this is my first sit-down video of 2025, which is absolutely crazy to me that we're already in 2025. It feels like 2019 was literally just last year. I don't know where the time went. I'm coming at you from a different location now because I am in my New York apartment. I live in Brooklyn now, at least, I don't know for how long, definitely just a few years, a year to two more at most. So I didn't want to bring all my books with me, so I have a little mini bookshelf here now, but I wanted to film my best books of 2024. I really want to get back into booktube this year. That is one of my resolutions, is to get back into filming videos and getting like more active on Instagram and literally just everything. Who knows about TikTok? That's all up in the air at the moment. I know this is coming to you a little bit late, but I wanted to get through the year in case I accidentally read a book that I absolutely loved and couldn't put it on this list. And also, I was traveling in the new year and just didn't have time, but I wanted to still do this because this is one of my favorite videos to film and to be able to look back on and see if my thoughts have changed over the years once I've sat with it. But these are all the books that I loved in 2024. I have a whole list right here. I put some up on my Instagram as I'm uploading this video. We're gonna go more in depth why they're my favorites, add a few extras, and we're gonna go in order of the way that I read them this year, just because that was easiest for me. I'm not the type of person that can really rank books very easily. I really want to do those like ranking videos, but I feel like I'm just so indecisive that I don't know if that would go over very well. But let's start the year off. My first read of the year was Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, and I would say that I loved the second one because I read Yours Truly immediately after this. I loved that one so much more. It deserves a spot on my all-time favorites list. I loved Bree and Jacob. Jacob's anxiety was dealt with so well and it was portrayed so well, and I related to him so much in that aspect. I love the little letters that they wrote back to each other. I just think it was overall like a very, very sweet story. Abby Jimenez just does such a good job with all of her romances. I added another one to this list. It was my first introduction to her this year, and I'm so happy that I was able to add her to this list. And this sun that keeps peeking out behind the clouds is making me look so washed out. Hold on, we're putting some lip gloss on. Hopefully this makes me look a little less washed out once the sun comes in. I just got pale lips, what can I say? So, Yours Truly, I just adored it so much. It was my introduction to Abby Jimenez, and she just does such a good job incorporating very hard topics into all of her romances, and she just makes them so delectable and you just want to keep reading and reading and reading. Deserved a spot on my favorite authors list. She's my auto-buy author now. I just love her so much, and I'm so glad that I started the year off with one of her books. So if you haven't read that series, highly recommend. Yours Truly is the best one, but all of her books kind of weave into one another, so I would read Part of Your World first because you will get spoiled for things that happen in that with Yours Truly, even though it follows a different couple. Next up is Before We're Strangers by Renee Carlino. I love this book so much. I read it in like one sitting. I was so obsessed with it. It just pulled at my heartstrings. It was such a beautiful New York love story that I enjoyed so much. We have our two main characters and they end up meeting in the NYU dorms and they become best friends, and you kind of follow their lives. You jump back and forth between present day and when they used to be best friends because you follow their life through them meeting in the NYU dorms, beyond that, and then they have a falling out, and they end up never speaking again until they end up seeing each other passing on the subway. And then that kind of unravels a whole spiel of things. So much drama, so much intrigue. I adored these characters. They felt so real. I would compare it to a lot like Looking for Alaska by John Green. I just feel like a lot of the characteristics from those characters were very similar to these ones. This sun is crazy right now. Hello? Oh my gosh. Floating head alert. It's just overall such a beautiful, beautiful love story. Had me hooked from the very beginning. I literally read it all in one sitting. I just couldn't get enough. And thank you, Zoe, for gifting it to me because she's the one who gave me this book and why I love it so much now. I just became so attached to Matt and Grace, and it just was filled with so much nostalgia, and it just felt like an early 90s movie, like rom-com, well, not really com. I would not say it's a comedy at all. Like romantic drama movie that needs to be a movie because it would do so well. It just gave all of those early 90s vibes and nostalgia that I was just looking for and I just adore. Overall, it was just so raw and emotional and just so lovely to like see their story unfold. Next, this would not be my favorite books list if I did not add this series. Trilogy. There's 3 books. Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I did a whole reading vlog on this year, reading all of these 3 books back to back. So if you want to know more of my in-depth review and reactions to those, I recommend go checking out that video. It tore me apart in so many ways. Jax, oh, I love him so much. Ava and Jax are just 2 of my favorite characters. The one critique I have over this series is that there is so much tension throughout the 3 books. Like it just builds and builds and you get like little pieces here and there of like actual romance coming forward. My only critique, the last scene could have been longer. It didn't have to end like that. There was just so much tension for it to build up to like practically nothing. Made me a little mad, I'm not gonna lie. The rest of the series, so good. We'll be rereading it. I'm just so in love with this world and just how unique and fun it is, but also there's just so much going on. It's just a perfect little romantasy that I'm just obsessed with and I will reread a million times over because I am obsessed with Ava and Jax so much. But again, if you want to know more of my thoughts on that, you can go watch that video because there's a lot of reaction. I sat in silence for a while after the second one. That was a little rough for me. But next we have The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. Y'all know me, I'm an Ashley Poston girly to the day I die. I read The 7-Year Slip last year. That was my all-time favorite book of the year last year. It's one of my all-time favorite books now. I gifted it to my friend for Christmas. I'm trying to get everyone to read it because I love it and I want to do a reread soon. But I finally read The Dead Romantics. It is all about this girl named Florence and she is a ghostwriter. Like, it was very interesting to read her life as a ghostwriter and like how she interacts. But she's a ghostwriter and she just can't write this next book. Goes to the editor, asks for another extension. She keeps asking for extensions and he will not give it to her. And he's kind of like this mean, brooding guy. Foreshadowing for later. She just no longer believes in love because she just went through an absolutely horrific breakup. And to top it all off, her dad dies. So she ends up going back home, which she never wanted to return to because she used to be made fun of because she could like see ghosts when she was little. So she never wanted to return. She ends up getting followed around by this random man that she recognized. And she's like, why are you here? Are you a ghost? No one else can see you, but you're my editor that I just met the day before. That's all I'm gonna say. Ashley Poston sprinkles in just so much magical realism that it just seems like so perfect and flows so well. Because sometimes in books, I feel like some authors incorporate that, but they don't really do a good job like weaving it in to like actually mold very well into the real world. It's just kind of like, oh, that was really random. But Ashley Poston weaves it in so nicely and I'm just so obsessed with all of her books because they all incorporate that. I love it. So if you haven't read any of her books, go do yourself a favor and go do it. She's one of my top authors. Like all of her books are basically on my favorites list because I just adore her so much. Next up is the When in Rome series by Sarah Adams. I will say I was not expecting this to be on this list because I read the cheat sheet by Sarah Adams and I also read the rule book this year. I hated the cheat sheet. I think it was one of my worst books of the year. One year, I don't remember which year I read it, but I hated it so much. It was so territorial, so like I could not stand the characters. When my friend was like, this is my favorite series, you need to read it, I was a little hesitant. I'm not gonna lie. I ended up enjoying it so much, enough so that I gifted it to one of my friends and she started reading it and she loved it as well. I just was not expecting to love When in Rome, and also Practice Makes Perfect so much. I would say maybe Practice Makes Perfect a little bit more than When in Rome, but I'm not 100% sure about that yet. The first book is all about Amelia and she is a pop star. And she's kind of just tired of her life. She takes the Aubrey Hepburn way out and kind of recreates her own When in Rome, where she goes to Rome, Kentucky. That was the closest Rome she could get to, so she doesn't tell anyone and she just escapes to Rome, Kentucky. And she ends up getting in like a little car wreck and she meets Noah, who brings her back to town, and he is a pie shop owner. It was just so adorable. I loved him so much. He was definitely very standoffish, very brooding. Once you kind of uncovered him, he was just filled with so much sweetness like a pie, and I just, oh my god, I love him. He's such a sweetheart. He has all sisters, and this series follows all of his sisters. So each book is a new sister and their love story. The third one's coming out beginning of this year. I'm so excited. I cannot wait. So it kind of just follows them navigating how Amelia is a celebrity and she's kind of trying to escape her life and wants more to life, and Noah just kind of trying to let her in. And the second book follows Noah's sister. Whoa, hello. Sunlight is really coming in right now. Second one follows Noah's sister, Annie. Annie is the goody two-shoes, but she hates being called that. She hates that that's what she is, and so she kind of want to breaks out of that mold that everyone kind of pushes her into. So this is a book about a lot of self-discovery along with the romance. So she enlists Amelia's bodyguard Will, the like hottest bodyguard, teach her how to date, get better at romance, because she's very insecure about that and like very nervous and has a lot of anxiety, which I related to so hard. So I loved seeing that. I loved seeing her growth throughout the novel. This son is crazy right now. I just really overall love that so much. It was just such a sweet little novel. This next book, I think, took me by surprise the absolute most this year, and that is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I was not expecting to like this. I also read this in a 24-hour reading vlog that you can go watch, so you can hear all my in-depth thoughts and reactions. But this is like a werewolf vampire arranged marriage. I don't really read vampire novels, supernatural novels like that. It's mostly like fairy magicians, not really like vampires and werewolves vibes. I never read Twilight, so I was not on that bandwagon. I surprisingly love this so much. It was so much more political than I thought it was gonna be. Like, yes, it's a romance and it has a little bit of spice to it, but it was so political, and that just caught me off guard. But that honestly made me love it even more, because I was honestly just expecting it to be like a smutty vampire werewolf romance that I was like gonna be like, yeah, whatever, it's fine. No, it's so political, and I cannot wait for her to continue on, because she sets up the next novel so well, and I really, really hope that she writes another one. Okay, next one was also another one that I wasn't expecting to love so much, but it was inspired by Yes Day. So that's The Summer of Yes by Courtney Walsh. I got this through NetGalley before it came out, but it is out now, so if you want to read that, go read it. I also read this in the 24-hour reading blog, so I won't go too in-depth into it. Basically, we follow our main character who wakes up in the hospital, and she finally just kind of realizes that she let work take over her life. Her roommate in the hospital is a very famous woman that has a very famous like skincare brand. She's very uptight, and she kind of enlists her to come along with her into a summer of yes, where they kind of just break their boundaries and try to enjoy life more and not let work consume them as much as they have in the past. There were so many like friendships and romances blossoming. It was just overall so inspiring to read. I read this one also in one sitting. The romance is there, it's super complicated as well, and there's so many like familial dynamics as well. If you're looking for like a good romance that's also inspiring, highly recommend. Next is one of my all-time favorite books now, and of course this had to be on my list, because if it wasn't, who would I be? And that's Funny Story by Emily Henry. I ate this shit up. I was obsessed with this book. I am obsessed with Miles. I love him to death. He is on my book boyfriends now. I am obsessed with this novel. Emily Henry knows how to write a romance, and every single one of her books is so good. I would say I prefer some over others. They're overall so good and written so well, and you just fall in love with every single character that you meet. And I genuinely fell so deeply in love with this book from page one. And Daphne finds out that her fiance is actually in love with his best friend. Daphne is basically left all alone, not knowing what to do, and she ends up becoming roommates with Miles, who was the boyfriend of Petra, the girl that Daphne's fiance left her for. They ended up just like going on dates, and it really was just a friendship forming, slowly developing into feelings that was just so beautiful to watch. It was overall just like so beautiful to watch them fall in love again after thinking that they could never fall in love again. But yes, this was a very complicated novel, but it was just ended up being so good that I just ate it up. I ate it up. It was 5 stars. Moving on, we have 2 repeat authors on this list that I already mentioned. The first one being A Novel Love Story by Ashley Poston. She wrote a book that came out this year. I was just giggling, kicking my feet. I was gasping. I was laughing. I was just having the best time. I was also crying over some parts of it. I feel like I related a lot to love interest in some very deep aspects of my life, and I don't know how she continuously writes books that I need at that time, but she does. I think she's just in my head at this point because it makes no sense. It makes no other sense how she literally just plucks things out of my brain and just writes them. Follow our main character, Eileen. She finds most of her joy in a novel, and so she is determined to make this book retreat that she does every year with her friends that actually we find some of her previous characters are in this book club, which is so cute. But her car unexpectedly breaks down in this random cute ass little town, and she ends getting stuck here in this town. She is in the town of her favorite romance series, which is crazy because it's supposed to be fictional, and yet she is there. She ends up running into all of her favorite characters except for one is a very brutish, grumpy bookstore owner that lets her stay up in the bookstore's attic. Falling so deeply in love with all of Ashley Poston's books and all of her writing. She just writes such beautiful, beautiful novels that I can't help but devour every single time. And going along with that is also Abby Jimenez, Just for the Summer, that also came out this year. I was putting this book off for so long. I gave it 5 stars. It dealt with some really hard topics, and I put it off for so long because I knew I was gonna love it. I didn't want it to be over. I was already mourning the end of this book even before I had even read it. We have 2 main characters, Justin and Emma. Justin believes that he is cursed, so he posts on Reddit a whole thread about how he believes that he's cursed. Everyone that he dates ends up finding the person they're gonna marry after him, and he just can't seem to find anyone to love him. And so Emma ends up finding this Reddit post, and she also has that same thing occurring. So they believe that if they fake date, they will find the person that they're meant to be with. So they end up fake dating for a little bit, turns a little bit into real dating, and then falling in love. And there's a lot that Emma goes through this book, a lot that she has to deal with and overcome. There's a lot of familial dynamics that are very tough. There's a lot of just past trauma that they both have to overcome with each other, and it's such a beautiful novel, and I just love this so much. It made me cry, of course it did. It's Abby Jimenez. Of course she wants to make you cry. Okay, next, I was not expecting to like this one as much either. This was my first audiobook. I really got into audiobooks this year because I am a freelance scenic painter, so I get to basically listen to whatever I want all day for an entire work shift as I'm doing my work. So I really got into audiobooks this year, and I got into Libby, and I adore Libby and all of their audiobooks. I got to read First Light Wins. It was super popular. It was like a Reese's book club pick. It became really popular, but I kind of read it on its like little downfall. It's still popular, but like not as exponential as it was. And it was super captivating. I really recommend this as an audiobook form. I don't know if I would have had the same reaction to it if I was just physically reading the book, but audio, it literally felt like I was listening to like a Criminal Minds episode, and I'm obsessed with Criminal Minds. It made me want to keep reading it. It was so addicting. It was so interesting seeing how each storyline kind of wove itself into the other and how they all connected at the end. I would recommend just like not even knowing anything about this book and go into it, because I feel like you're gonna be a lot more surprised by some of the things that happen, and I think it's really fun to kind of go along that journey of like discovering it for yourself and trying to put all the pieces together. If you're looking for a good mystery thriller, this one surprised me. We have 2 left. Next up is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. This is gonna be one of my comfort reads that I'm just gonna keep going back to and just rereading and rereading and rereading, because it's all about this witch that's trying to keep it secret, and she ends up getting contacted by a very like found family about having 3 witches in their midst, and they need someone to teach them. She goes and teaches them, and she just finds it's all about found family, and there's romance. So sweet and heartwarming. I just wanted it to last forever. I also read this via audio, and I think I would love it either way. I just wanted to keep living in this world and never leave it. It was just so, it was like a warm hug. I just love books like that because I want to keep going back and living in those worlds forever and never wanting to leave those books. And it was just so, it was just so sweet, and I loved it so much. And finally, the last book is a Christmas book, which is not what I was expecting. I'm not gonna lie. I was not expecting that from me. The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year by Ali Carter. I was not expecting to love this as much. I listened to this book on my plane ride back home to California. It's all about these 2 feuding authors that end up getting invited to this Christmas party with one of their favorite authors, and she ends up going missing. So they have to figure out what happened, if she's actually missing, is she putting them to the test? what's happening all while during Christmas. It was super fun little mystery. So much happened. There was just so much depth to each of these characters and I loved them so much. It was just such a cutesy little rom-com mystery that I want more of. I wanted this novel to last forever because it was just so entertaining. There were so many twists and turns and it was just so fun. Even just getting to know these characters and them falling for each other. But yeah, those are all of my favorite books of 2024. I cannot believe that we're here already. It's crazy that we're in 2025. It doesn't feel real. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if we had any of the same like favorite books or what your favorite books of the year was, because I would love to know. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.